My next guest has been a friend and a colleague of mine for many years. In fact, he also worked on television in the series Amen with our executive producer, Milton R.F. Brown, when he was on staff as a writer there. He's a fantastic actor and has now passed his acting gauntlet on to his lovely and very talented daughter, Bianca, who's quickly becoming a star in her own right. I'm talking about the handsome and charming, as you will see, Richard Lawson. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so good to be here with you. Speaking about handsome, I mean, you were the leader of the handsome black men in Hollywood back in, what was the first year that you were in a series? I'm interviewing you now.
Oh, okay. It was in the 60s.
It was in the 60s.
Yeah, 68 or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can interview me anytime, but I want to talk to you about the things you're doing. I mentioned your daughter. Talk a little bit about her now before we get in. She became an actress when?
Bianca was an actress at the age of 3. When, you know, when the first time she said, "Daddy, I want to do that. I want to act." And I said, "Yeah, baby, okay, okay." And she said, "I want to do that." I said, "Okay, okay, and just be patient, we'll make it happen." And I was just trying to ride out her interest, you know, because when you're a kid, you're interested in everything, you know. I mean, you get Christmas presents and you love the one that's in your hand and you put it down and then you love the next one, you know, and then they settle on one out of the many that they get. And so I just thought this was a passing thing.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. I mean, every few days or months, and it was after a while I really realized that it was in her. So at the age of 9, we sat down, and I sat her on my lap, and I said, "Okay, I'm really hearing you, and I just want to talk to you about a few things." And I said, "So I really like the fact that you want to do this. It's a beautiful thing. But it's not just fun and games. It looks like it. It's a really serious business. And even though you're only 9, if you work, there's an expectation for you to be a professional like everyone else. So there are certain things you have to do." And we went through this whole list of things: communication, being dependable, you know, studying and being prepared. And she was just like, "Yes, I'm ready." And so we found her a manager, and then she started going out. She got the very first 2 or 3 things she went out on, and ever since then she's just been a real student of the game, you know. I told her that she should have her own talk show and talk about films and be a film critic, because she sees everything. She knows every actor. She has the history of films, and she's a wonderful talent.
Now, how old is she now?
Bianca is 28 or 9.
28,
I'm not quite sure which one. Let me see. She was born in 79, I think.
79, that would make
so whatever that is.
Yeah.
Somebody do the math. 28. 28. She's 28.
28, right.
She's 28, and she looks like she's 21.
Wow, it's amazing.
And she's really talented. I played her father twice.
No, I've seen her on screen, and needless to say, I've seen you on screen. I don't know if I saw you guys together.
No, maybe not.
But I've seen her on screen. She's gorgeous and very talented.
Very talented.
Talk to me about, before I want to talk to you about your studio, your school, because I know you're into that.
Right.
You've become, you know, a guru in that sense.
Yeah.
But talk to me just about your acting. I know we saw you, Laurie and I saw you in you were in one of the network episodics.
Numbers?
Numbers.
Numbers recently, yes.
Numbers. I said, "There's Richard."
Yeah. Well, I still work and work a fair amount. I have a film coming out called Love for Sale, sometime in the next, sometime this fall, I think. Recently, I did a film called The Last Stand, which was about comedians, which was very good. It went straight to DVD, and you know, and I'm doing the occasional episodic and stuff, and I'm actually developing a few things for myself that I'm writing. One based upon I was in a plane crash a few years ago.
Yeah, I
And-
wanted to talk to you about that, but go ahead
Yeah.
and make your point.
Well, I'm using that as a backdrop, the plane crash and the surrounding elements as a backdrop to a journey that I took. The plane was flying out of LaGuardia
Right.
and crashed on takeoff, Flight 405, U.S. Air, and I wound up trapped in my seat underwater for I don't know how long, but the longest time. And my story is about what happens while I'm underwater in terms of this journey that I take. Because one of the things that really fascinated me was how I wound up there. How I knew the plane was going to crash.
What?
When I got ready to get on the plane, I had this revelation, this realization that this plane was going to crash. And I had this incredible battle between these two parts of myself.
Wow.
There's this one part of myself that is spiritual and is all-knowing and has never made a wrong decision in my entire life. I know everything. At least that's one of the options. That's Richard.
Right.
And there's Ricky Lee, that's my real name. And then over here is this other person, Tricky Dick, who gets me in trouble and who is this middle-class person. And so I'm getting ready to get on this plane, and that spiritual part of me says, don't get on this plane, it's going to crash.
Whoa.
And that other part of me said, man, what's wrong with you? Get on this plane. We got this chick to meet in Cleveland.
Is that where you were going?
I was going to Cleveland.
Right.
I was working for the NBA, for the National Basketball Association, because I ran the drug education, training, treatment, and aftercare program.
Okay.
Well, that's one of the hats that I wear, is I'm a drug professional. I still, to this day, do interventions all over the world. But I was one of the administrators of this program. And so I'd go to each team twice a year, and I'd do these training seminars. And I would give them information about how to create a healthy family, because for 9 months, they are an extended family.
Right.
And then the teams who have the problems are the teams who don't have a family structure. There's no organization. Nobody knows their role.
Right.
You know? And so when some of these guys start acting out, it's like the leaders in this group have to rein these people in by, you know, checking in with them. And, you know, what's up, man? What are you doing? You've been late for meetings. You didn't show up to the family function. You've been hanging out with strange people. What's going on?
Right.
And if it gets too far, then the team does an intervention on him, which
Okay.
we've trained them to do, right?
Right.
So
That's interesting.
it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting, because the healthy teams are the teams that the leaders, like Kobe,
Right.
he talks about the Lakers going out to family functions together, hanging out as friends.
Right.
They have a family structure. He talks about roles that they play. That's a healthy family environment, because everybody knows their role. In unhealthy groups, people don't have roles and they don't know their roles. And so therefore there's a dysfunctional element there. So anyway, I was going to Cleveland to do Cleveland.
Wow.
And I had this battle between my spiritual self and this other self that's driven by so many demons and things, you know, and perversities and stuff. And so it was like, I wanted to get to Cleveland, but I knew better. And I stayed on this plane. And I had this battle the entire time on the plane. Get up, man, get up. All you have to do is just stand up. Come on, get off this plane. Just sit down. Just sit down and shut up. You know, don't embarrass yourself up in here.
Right.
You know, what you going to tell the NBA? You were scared to fly?
Right.
What are they going to say to that? You know? So I had this whole battle with self until the plane went down. Now, while I was underwater, upside down, trapped in my seat, it was like, how did I get here, man? Because I had the information. I knew better.
Yeah.
And I've made decisions like that my entire life. I'd walk into a place, a club, and I'd see that one girl. And that part of me said, man. And this part of me said, man, she's trouble. Leave her alone.
Right.
No, man, but look at that.
Yeah, right.
You know? And that would win over, and then I'd be in the middle of some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it'd be like, you knew.
You knew.
What's wrong with you? You knew. Why do you make these decisions? And so in this book, I go back and trace my steps in the decision-making processes all the way up to where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a revelation, and that makes me decide that, wait a minute, I am not ready to die.
Right.
And I fight to live and come back.
That's amazing. And it certainly is worthy of a book.
Yeah.
It certainly is worthy of a book.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, you also have a Richard Lawson studio. Now, I'm
Yes.
jumping around because
Yes.
we don't have a lot of time, but I do
Right.
want to talk about those things that you're really immediately involved with.
Yeah.
Richard Lawson studio. Tell us about that.
I'm probably one of the few people who've had a dual track of teaching and acting both successfully.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a successful acting career, and for 30 years I've been teaching at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, which is one of the preeminent acting schools in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I've taught people like George Clooney and Michelle Pfeiffer and Patrick Swayze and Giovanni Ribisi and Jenna Elfman, and on and on and on over a 30-year period, probably about 20,000 students or more. So I have an intuitive side to teaching that is something that you gain from the experience of teaching so many people. And then all the other skills that I have really help that teaching aspect. And I've been as a successful actor. So I took the combination of those two things and created my own school where I teach people how to have a career. You and I have been in the business for a long time, and most of the people who started with us are no longer here.
Right.
They're not here because some of them have died, but some of them have just gone on to other things.
Right.
It wasn't because they weren't good actors. It's because they didn't know how to have a career, and they didn't know how to get jobs.
Right. Yes.
You understand?
Yes,
They
I
would
do.
walk into a room and they didn't know how to get the job. But you put a script in their hand and give them 2 weeks and they'll change your life. Our good friend, Sonny Jim,
Yes.
was one of those. He was a great actor.
Sonny Jim Gaines.
Sonny Jim Gaines is one of the greatest actors of our day, but not many people know
Right.
who he was because he didn't know how to get the job.
Right.
And so I teach people how to get the job, especially for a camera. I teach them how to get a job on camera. I teach them how to have a career by having a concept about a career. An actor is no different than Jerry's Deli or Neiman Marcus or Gucci or whatever. There's a concept that they have about their business. They have a business plan. They have a dream, and they know exactly what they want. They know where their markets are. They know how to sell to their markets. You know, an actor must know his product and how to sell it and operate it like a business and work on it, you know, 40, 60, 80 hours a week, you know, instead of waiting for a phone to ring and waiting for their agents to call. So I teach people how to have a concept for a career and go after it. I then put a camera in people's hands and I teach them to become filmmakers so that they have some control over the product that they create, and they can go after jobs. They don't need an agent to get a job. A casting thing comes up, they're targeting directors, producers, projects. They can put themselves on film and create product and get it to these buyers by DVD, by flash drives, by creating a website and having a link to your website, by putting it up on YouTube. This is a digital world we live in today, and any actor who is not awake enough to know they need to have digital reality to be able to have the skills to do that, my students become filmmakers so that they can control their own destiny, because they know the road they're on because they learned that. They know how to get a job because I teach them how to audition on film, and then they can create the product or the evidence that they can do the job. And most of my students, their lives are completely changed. Speaking of Amen, Anna Maria Horsford came to my class today just to sit in because she wanted to see what I was doing.
Right.
And she left there and her mind was completely blown.
Tell us where you built your studio. That's fascinating.
My studio is right behind my house. I walk out the door and catch the subway to work.
I think that's great.
And I have a beautiful place. I found a place where art can occur. And that's an important thing. You have to have a place where art can occur, so that it has the kind of vibe that invites you to create. And in my place, it seduces you into creation.
Right.
If you sat there, you got to do something, you know. And so it's a nice little studio. I'm creating a global classroom because people can't come to LA to study. Some do, and some have.
Right.
I've had people come from all over the place to study with me. But I've created a global classroom where I can take my classroom to the world.
How do you do that?
Well, no matter where you are in the world, there's the internet, and there is iSight and iChat.
Okay.
And you can come into my studio and be on your computer, and I see you, and you see me, and you follow the lesson plan, and you make your films, because you have to produce films, these little small films.
Right.
And you post those films on my YouTube channel, where I go and look at your work, or I could be, like I was in North Carolina doing Love for Sale, and I still taught my classes. So I was in my classroom on the digital monitor, and I was able to see everybody in my class, and they were able to see me. I saw everybody's work because I went to my YouTube channel, because my executive director uploads all their work so I can see it. So my class never stops, no matter where I am in the world.
That's amazing.
I could be on the beach in Hawaii and still teach my class.
Right. Now, there are a lot of people that watch this show, a lot of actors and a lot of wannabe actors, a lot of people that. How does one let us know what the internet thing is like? How do they contact you?
RichardLawson.net. 818-793-8767.
That's all they have to do is just contact you. And come for interviews or come for?
If they go to my website, they will read all the things that it's about. There are video testimonials where other actors who've taken the class. Every question that you could possibly ask has been answered by students who said, what was this class? What did you get out of this class? And you can click on 6, 7, 8, or 10 different students who talk about what they got out of the class. I mean, everything you could possibly want to know is on that website, and you get in touch with us. And I don't care where you are in the world, you can take the class.
RichardLawson.net.
.net.
Okay. Now, I wanted to talk a little. We're running out of time. We only have a couple of minutes left. But I wanted to get your feeling about what's happening in national politics with this incredible man that's probably going to be our next president.
I think it is just one of the most unbelievable and timely. I mean, it's about time. It's about time. And I hope people are aware of the importance of the time and to get involved. More people have gotten involved in this process. There was a girl in my class who was an attorney and an actress, and she went to Iowa and worked for him, and she came back and she was completely transformed. She says, I don't know what it was, but I'm willing to dedicate my life to supporting him. So he has created something that's quite magical, and I think we live in a special time.
We do. He's changed the whole face of politics in this country forever.
Yes.
And it's amazing and very, very nice to see, isn't it? I'm so proud.
It's great to see.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it will probably wind up Obama, Clinton.
I don't know. We're not supposed to get into that kind of discussion. But no. I'm just saying it could work. It could work. It could work. To be absolutely honest with you, that's the ticket that I'd like to see.
Absolutely.
But the things that have happened in the last few days, which we can't talk about, I think has put a damper on that. But I hope that's the way it turns out. I got to be honest with you. I know a lot of people don't particularly feel that way, but I'm interested in us winning big in November, and also fixing this country, because we are in such such dire straits as it relates to where we should be, where we were.
Yeah.
We owe the world. We have a war that is, well, what the situation is. But it's going to be, it's such a wonderful thing to see Barack Obama in the position that he's in.
Sure, and listen, I think it's important that we hold that position for a number of years, because we have to get some of those people out of the Supreme Court. That's where the great decisions are made that affect people, for lifetimes. And most of those people that are on the Supreme Court are Republicans.
Right.
All the great Democrats that were on the Supreme Court, they tried to wait it out, but they died out,
Right. Well, I think he'll have the opportunity to put 2 or 3 judges on the court. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But first things first, we got to get him in there.
Well, you should run. You're a great politician.
Hey.
You are.
Well, look, I can relate to people.
Yes, you can. And you have a style and a charm and a humor and an irony and an intelligence. And you have a class. You have a class that I think can transcend. You know the public eye. You're comfortable in the public eye. You're well spoken. You're a wordsmith. So you have all the skills. I mean, you have what Reagan had.
Well. Anyway, it's. I was looking forward to this interview with you because you're my old friend, and
yes, sir.
I respect and care very much for what you've done.
Thank you.
And what you've been talking about today.
Yes.
This is extraordinary. Your studio and your teaching, and I did not know all of it. I knew some of it, but I didn't know all of it. I want to thank you for coming on the Roundtable.
My pleasure.
Come back and talk to us again.
I would love to.
Richard Lawson.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, sir.